this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me now invite the new elect President of the Autonomous Region of Bougainville, His Excellency, Honorable Ishmael Toroama, to give his President's address this afternoon. Mr. President.
Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, the Honorable James Marape, the outgoing President of Bougainville, Honorable Chief Dr. John Mommis, Ministers of PNG Parliament present today, Ministers and members of the Bougainville Parliament, Head of Foreign Missions represented here today, the Speaker of the Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. It is my utmost pleasure to be presenting my maiden parliamentary speech in front of you all. I am humbled and honored to be speaking to you as your new president for the next 5 years. This is the highest position on our land, and I intend to serve the office with faithfulness and diligence. Mr. Speaker, we are entering a very important 5 years of the people who have given us the enormous responsibility of securing the 98% vote. I am fully aware of this responsibility as I now take the front line in this political arena. Mr. Speaker, we enter an excitement parliament as about 70% are new members entering for the first time to shoulder the long and old agenda. It is also an interesting parliament because 3 pairs of family relations have made it into this house. Husband and wife, a father and a daughter, mother and son. This must be recorded in the democratic world as I look forward to their contributions without fear or favor. Mr. Speaker, as the members of this House, before I go any further, let me first pay my homage to the 20,000 lives who died during our struggle for freedom. Many died not in combat, but from lack of access to services. My victory is in their honor. May those of us still alive continue the journey to the promised land so their sacrifice will not be in vain. Mr. Speaker, may I thank the people of Bougainville both inside and outside of Bougainville for having trust and confidence in me and giving me the mandate to be your president. You had the difficult task of choosing me from almost 25 candidates, of all whom are persons of high standing caliber. Your choice of me as the president proves that wisdom, knowledge, and experience from the University of Life still has a place in the Bougainville society. Mr. Speaker and members of this Parliament, What is my key agenda as your new president? As all of my voters know, I have campaigned on the platform of three cores, which are independence, corruption, and law and order. As I have stated earlier, independence has been in our dream since the day our forefathers. We have fought it and won it, the war, but we have not yet won the battle. We have now translated it into a number that everyone is calling 98%. Without any significant minority throughout Bougainville, let there be no doubt about the legalities and the validity of referendum and results, as the referendum is captured in the organic law on peace building in Bougainville and the referendum inserted into the Papua New Guinea Constitution. Mr. Speaker, I thank the outgoing President, Honorable Chief Dr. John Mommies, the outgoing Minister for Referendum, Mr. Albert Kumar, and the United Nations for the tremendous work they have done in delivering a successful referendum and setting an international benchmark as far as the referendum votes are concerned. My government will ensure that both Honorable Chief John Mommies and Mr. Kumar continue to guide and participate in the consultation dialogue process with the government of Papua and New Guinea. Mr. Speaker, the joint consultative framework has already been agreed to by the March JSB. My government's priority is to continue the preparations and conduct consultation dialogue with the government of Papua New Guinea. The Bougainville Peace Agreement, the Bougainville Constitution, international treaties and conventions will show us the way, our way, journey to our destiny. We remain steadfast and continue to consult with our people inside Bougainville and outside of the islands, because this has been our collective past, and it must also be our collective future. Mr. Speaker, my second campaign pillar was corruption. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians 15:33, do not be deceived, as bad company ruins morals. And 2 Peter 1:19 says, they promise their freedom, but they themselves are enslaved of corruption. For whatever overcomes the person to death, he is enslaved. These two verses are very clear. If we want freedom, we must not keep bad company. We must get rid of any individual, system, or institution that are practicing corrupt behaviors. Corruption, whether it is true or it is mere speculation, is damaging we leaders, and we must avoid putting ourselves in questionable situations. My government intends to keep a clear separation between decision-making, policy and law, and implementation. Leaders should not make decisions and then take lead in implementing the same decision. Leaders may go out and monitor to ensure laws or policies are being implemented as planned. Mr. Speaker, I am aware of the weakness in the current financial management system, as it has too many leaks. We must fix leaks before we proceed. A house that is built on a sand will easily be blown away by the wind. So let us now start building our independence on solid rock. Mr. Speaker, members of the Parliament and my people of Bougainville, the other key agenda that I have campaigned and got elected is law and order. This is essential if Bougainville is to prosper socially and economically. Beyond the ratification, the securing of independence, our dream of being masters of our destiny will amount to nothing if we cannot behave in civil ways. We have signed the peace agreement, we have contained weapons, we have reconciled amongst ourselves as well as with Papua New Guinea, and above all, we have conducted a highly successful referendum. There is now no more reason for anyone to be carrying arms or causing violence. Behave in untruly manner. To those groups that are still not actively participating in our journey, I urge you to join me now. As your president, with open arms, we walk this journey together. I will be meeting with the law and order agencies here in Bougainville to develop ways of combating increased law and order issues, especially drugs, home rule, gender and family violence, stealing of cars, and so on. Medium term, we must have broader economic interventions that keep the younger people usefully occupied. Mr. Speaker, the very essence of leadership is have to have a vision for the people. You can't beat the government for nothing. The ABG campaign agenda will be as part of much bigger vision which the people of Bougainville expressed in the form of Bougainville crisis 31 years ago. The crisis was a revolution in every way, politically, economically, and development. It destroyed all systems and to create a new Bougainville. New innovations at a time such as hydropower, coconut oil, new farming systems, architecture of village houses. The crisis deliberated the thinking of Bougainvilleans. Mr. Speaker, however, in restoring Bougainville to normalcy, we have simply re-established the old system under new labels such as interim authority, the People's Congress, and the autonomous Bougainville government and public service. We have not encouraged the innovative ability of our people, so evident during the crisis. The end result is that Bougainvilleans are again in danger of becoming bystanders on their own land. I intend to reorientate some of the technical service functions so that they are better positioned to respond to the needs of the village people instead of simply being a manager of a large tenders and. Mr. Speaker, we must be masters of our destiny, and we can only do this by putting our own software into the structures and institutions we are going. Yes, we can borrow ideas from outside, but they must be adapted and adjusted to fit our own way of thinking, as it is through our own intellectual control that we can chart our own pathway and create our own destiny and a place in a global society. The Asian countries have proven this in no uncertain terms. To this extent, Bougainville must establish a high-powered planning secretariat that will help us dream big into our future. Innovate new ideas at greater heights. We must make use of the enormous talent of educated Bougainvilleans outside of Bougainville in this endeavor. Mr. Speaker and members of this new parliament, the winds of change. Change will come if we wait for another. Change will not come if we wait for another person. Or sometime we are the ones we have been waiting for. We are the change that we see. And now standing there, by yourself. How do we build a new society? Mr. Speaker, we must build trust and confidence in the people through these following strategies. 1. Political power over our destiny. We can only exercise political control through independence. We must pursue independence by all peaceful means. It may happen in 1 year, or it might take a few more years, but we must never lose focus, however, the longer it may take. My people of Bougainville, you have ensured this far, endured this far, and your continued patience is all I ask for you. Mr. Speaker, in this formation of the new government, we must also give confidence and trust to our people. We have desired a change and expressed in the high number of new members in this parliament. This change will be the theme of my government. They may be small, but the significant change in the way government operates, for example, getting its department to manage their own funds, or they may be big infrastructure developments. However, while we are pursuing change, we must also maintain balance between the old and new. because the new leaders need to be mentored by the experienced leaders in the ways of running a government. Mr. Speaker, still under political control, maintaining constant communication with our people is essential to their management. People must know and understand what the government is doing in order for the people to give us the support and participate meaningfully. My government will look at ways of communicating better with our people. Mr. Speaker, strategy 2 is the economic growth and control. Political control will not lead to much improvement in our livelihood if we are bystanders in the economy. After 45 years of independence, PNG, throughout the leadership of Prime Minister Honorable James Marape, is now taking back PNG. We in Bougainville have a golden opportunity to get it right at this point of our political journey. Mr. Speaker, under my government, we will have significant target plans for growing our economy. Konguna mine will be a key target, but we will not put all our eggs in one basket. My government has a number of specific to medium projects, ideas in mining, agriculture, fisheries and tourism that will create employment and generate revenue for Bougainville. We welcome foreign investment because without outside funding and technology, we may not be able to exploit our natural resources. But we must expect a fair share of return and participation in the form of shareholding or equity in large-scale projects. The medium to small enterprise sector must be controlled by our people. Mr. Speaker, it is time that we change the sandy town business image of our main towns. We must also create getting powers and functions currently with the Papua New Guinea government, such as Section 289, powers currently vested with TNC government, Section 291, powers relating to criminal code, Section 293, the exercise of international obligations, and Section 298, national government assets and land as far as it relates to Bougainville. Mr. Speaker and members of this House, Strategy 4 is to mobilize private sector and civil society. 80% of our citizens live in the villages where local custom, associations and churches play a far greater influence. It is impossible for a government to move Bougainville forward by itself. The private sector and the civil sector, organization, be it the church, a farmers' organization, and so on, must be mobilized to play a role in the movement. The business houses, for example, apart from paying taxes, can be asked to play a direct role in other ways. Many businesses have not been paying taxes here in Bougainville. This must change now. Mr. Speaker, strategy number 5 is a long-term vision and planning. As the saying goes, planning to fail is planning for a failure. Bougainville, we embark on an exercise for long-term planning. Beyond the medium-term plans, which gather dust in the offices of government. We must plan the long term, say 40 years, and have political commitments to such planning so that Bougainville rises from the beauty of the ashes into a vibrant economy, where the full potential and capacity of our citizens are fully harnessed. Singapore, under the leadership of President Lee Kuan Yew, was able to transform Singapore into the global economic hub it is today through deliberate and sustained long-term planning since 1954. Conditions in Bougainville are different from Singapore, but there is a lesson in the long-term planning and commitment to it that we can learn from it. Bougainville must have a long-term blueprint. Mr. Speaker and members of this House, Strategy 6 is international relations. Our historical friends will continue to be our friends, and ours is a long, enduring relationship through good and bad times. You have given us trouble, but you have also helped us overcome these difficult times. And there is the nature of a human spirit, one that is able to recover, forgive, and move on. History must be our guiding light in moving forward so that we do not make the same mistakes of the past. Our doors under my government will be open to the international community, especially to those who want to help us in achieving Bougainville's dreams. But in a way that is of mutual benefit to us and to our friends to be. Mr. Speaker, members of the House of Parliament and the people of Bougainville, that is my 6-point strategy for Bougainville in the next 5 years. Will be the one that will drive this six-point strategy. Education and health will also continue to be our basic services. As new standards of service delivery must await improvements in the economy, we are only generating about 24% of the total budget from within Bougainville. Furthermore, COVID-19 has greatly impacted the global community as well as Papua New Guinea economy. Papua New Guinea has recently slashed its budget by 2 billion. So all of these need into account as we are planning and implementing the strategies. Mr. Speaker, much needs to be done, but we need our house in order before we can embark on these strategies. The following preconditions are necessary: setting the right political leadership. The right mix of political leadership is essential to leading Bougainville in the next 5 years, especially for journey ahead. I will therefore announce a full cabinet within the 14 days, a team of vibrant leaders who will provide the drive, energy, and innovation in the moving Bougainville forward. Mr. Speaker, as noted previously, innovative leadership of the administration is also important. I will review the situation and make changes if necessary. Mr. Speaker, the long-term Bougainville blueprint that captures the entire Bougainville society is essential in guiding our way forward. In this regard, I intend to establish a high-powered planning secretariat, a smaller unit, made up of highly qualified and competent citizens who will report directly to the President and the Executive Council so that our people's political and development aspirations are achieved. Control over population and territory is another precondition, as already stated, under law and order. We must educate the masses, those that have not had the opportunity to realize their potential, not necessarily in the classroom, but in the society, so that they become productive members of Bougainville community. Mr. Speaker, in this juncture, let me address directly a number of stakeholders that are important to Bougainville. Firstly, the PNG government. Mr. Speaker, to the PNG government. You have caused us immense pain and suffering, but you have helped us in restoring our lives. You are helping us to rebuild our government systems and institutions. We have reconciled, bearing our differences as true Melanesian people. However, a lot more needs to be done in helping our Bougainville people in life to make their lives comfortable. I'm aware that the Bougainville may not have received its share of funds as agreed in the Bougainville Peace Agreement. So I intend to explore this further with Prime Minister Honorable James Marape. Mr. Speaker, Bougainville and PNG will also walk the journey ahead, side by side, as you help Bougainville to reach its destiny, by the blood of 20,000 lives. The sentiments expressed by Bougainville appears in this recent parliamentary statement, asking PNG to educate themselves about the history, the culture, and the sufferings and the aspirations of Bougainville. It is the right grounds on which to work together the journey and set us free. Mr. Speaker, the changing of guards always comes with uncertainty and trepidation. My government will endeavor to establish and maintain an environment of trust within Bougainville, PNG, and the international community so that we can confidently go about our joint agendas. Democracy, respect Melanesian values must underpin our journey, but above all, trust and honesty must prevail as we consult and dialogue towards an outcome that reflects the 98% vote. So, Mr. Speaker, let me now turn to the international community and partners. The international community, especially Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Solomon Islands, Fiji, Vanuatu, and the United Nations, have been a tremendous value to Bougainville in pacifying the conflict as in helping to rebuild Bougainville. Under my leadership, Bougainville will continue to work with you so that we reach new heights in areas of mutual interest. The door will be open to any members of the international community in general that is interested in helping Bougainville take its place in the international arena. Mr. Speaker, the government and the people of Solomon Islands deserve a special mention. You have said our times of need, and you have suffered in the course of it. But most importantly, you are the launching pad for peace process, and I, as the new president of Bougainville, accord you my sincere appreciation and look forward to a continued and renewed relationship. Mr. Speaker, to the people of Bougainville, we have finally given an unshakable number to the long-haired dream of our forefathers, our leaders who have gone before us. We owe it to Sir Paul Apun, Sir Donatus Mola, Dr. Alexis Sarre, Anthony Anogu, Joseph Kabui, Francis Ona, Leo Hannett, Moses Aveni, and many others who at different times of our history added to the foundations of our journey. My government will need your continued support and patience as we walk the journey of securing Bougainville's sovereignty. We must maintain peace and unity at all times. Mr. Speaker, to the outgoing President, I acknowledge the presence and work of the outgoing President, Honorable Chief Dr. John Morris. You have led Bougainville through the colonial era, through self-governance and independence. You crafted the Constitution of the independent state of Papua New Guinea. You have inserted the organic law on provincial government and local government. You later helped to amend to include the organic law on peace building in Bougainville. You have now served 2 terms as President of the autonomous Bougainville government. All in all, you have been our leader for 45 years. Your durability compares only with a very selected group of eminent leaders in former prime ministers, Somare and Chen. Yours is a contribution that will remain unmatched and will be forever enhanced in the history of the people of Bougainville. I thank you and salute you from the bottom of my heart. But if you think that you are going for retirement, then you are mistaken, because I will be seeking your wise counsel at every opportunity. Mr. Speaker, for some of our relatives and friends are still outside our journey for their own reasons, the Bougainville peace agreements provide pardon and amnesty to any violation of human rights committed during the crisis up to the point of conducting the referendum. Any violations committed thereafter are law and order issues. You, as the newly elected president, and as a soldier who fought with you, to come out and join me and my government to pursue our destiny. Mr. Speaker, to the other 24 presidential candidates who contested the presidential seat with me, we campaign as colleagues appearing together in public forums in 3 different major towns in Bougainville. The spirit of togetherness must continue as we move forward in our journey towards our common goal. I intend to tap enormous collective pool of knowledge and expertise and look forward to your continued active participation in the journey ahead. Mr. Speaker, now to the public service. Yours is a mandate to be servants of the people, but too often you have become a self-serving organization caring only about perks and privileges that you enjoy. The public service must rediscover the spirit of service, for we saw in the early days of independence and provincial government. My presidency intends to have a closer look at the public service in order to realign with the needs of the people, and I need your cooperation in this endeavor. Mr. Speaker, to the youth and women who constitute the most active economic population of our society, you are now and the future of Bougainville society. My government intends to help you realize your potential. Yours is not a situation of men against women, or that women should be allowed to perform sex, but a question of how men and women should work together better. Your roles are already prescribed by custom and by church doctrines. The decisive gender politics of Western society has no place in the Bougainville society because it has led to unchristian values like same-sex marriage. In some other societies, instead, we must find our own balance in embracing the roles of women within the Bougainville context. Mr. Speaker, to the members of Bougainville Parliament, you have run under various parties and on various platforms during your campaign. But we are all saving the one and the same 380,000 people of Bougainville. So let us join our many different leadership, talents, and enormous pools of leadership in the benefit of the people of Bougainville. There will be differences in views from time to time, depending on the policy or matter of law, or depending on the political thinking of individual leaders. Indeed, difference in opinions is a healthy sign of mature democracy. It needs to be exercised with responsibility. My government intends to encourage good public debates on key policy matters, both in Parliament as well in the communities throughout the various places in Bougainville that exist today. For good public debate needs to look good. Good public debate leads to good policies and laws. Mr. Speaker, least but not the least, I very much look forward to your leadership in managing this House in a way that we will reflect on the status of this House, and as we are political lead servants of our people. It is the people who have voted us into this House, and it is they who will also get us out of this House. If we do not deliver to the expectation, the people must, if we do not deliver to the expectations, the people must be front and center in any debate, in any decision making in this Parliament. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea and the Papua New Guinea Cabinet Ministers, the outgoing President, Dr. Chief John Morris, ministers and members of this Parliament, the diplomatic corps, and the people of Bougainville, I now thank you all once again for this opportunity to be your President, and may God bless you.